Um, probably not gonna be able to get through this. This is week 107 of the Draw or Die newsletter for visual storytellers of all kinds. This week I want to talk about how do we make more cartoonists. And I want to talk about the tragic death of Ed Piskor this week. This was not my planned topic this week, but things took a really dark turn in the world of comics, and especially locally here in Pittsburgh with the death of Ed. And all week long, I thought about disbanding this entire brand, folding it up and calling it a day, because I just don't even want to look at a skull or the word die. I'd rather think about life and living. But over the past 107 weeks, over 2 years now, through this brand, my wife and I have spoken to hundreds, if not 1,000 artists out there, many who are dealing with quiet and creative depressions. And some have even told us that, finding this brand, saved their life and turned their life around. And that's pretty heavy to hear, but it makes me feel like I got to do more, like I wish I could do more. But it's heavy. It's a heavy thing to think about. It's not what it's about. We try to encourage people here at the Draw or Die brand. That's a cool name, but I don't want to focus on the death part anymore. I don't, but the skull just, I just can't. So, anyways, before I dive into this, if you're an artist out there going through whatever it is, whatever it might be, whether it's depression, anxiety, panic, suicidal thoughts, being brutally canceled online by internet bullying, if you're going through that, you just got to keep going, So in these United States, you can dial 988 and talk to someone right away and get some help. But please, 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 don't leave. You got to hold fast and keep going. Okay? So listen, Ed. Can't even look at this guy. I just can't even look at his face. Man, god damn it. Listen, I'm not going to discuss the drama or get embroiled in any of that. I have a pretty strict no drama rule here, and I'm not going to tolerate anyone making bad comments about Ed or any other artist. It's not what we do here in the comments or conversations. We don't tear each other down. We don't do anything like that. The hard truth here is Ed Piskor, a brilliant cartoonist, top of his game, award-winning, also running the best comic book related YouTube channel in history, Cartoonist Kayfabe. And he was my friend in comics and locally. Killed himself on Monday. And according to his last words, it was because of internet bullying. And there is no debate about it. He was being canceled very swiftly and brutally. Okay? So in less than 1 week, he had his big art show for Hip Hop Family Tree canceled. A $75,000 book deal go up in smoke. And other opportunities vanish. Just like that. Publishers denounce him. close friends had to distance themselves from him publicly. Slanderous name calling online. The freaking local news showing up in his parents' house and making sure that the address was, panned out so you could see the address of where he lived and his parents lived. What in the world is happening here? Nobody wanted to hear any kind of facts or anything from Ed's side. They just piled on. And it's the darker side, it's that darker side of human nature. The twisting, the contorting, busting out that buttered popcorn here. Incessantly checking tweets and stuff to see what the latest drama, the hour, the minute is. Did you see the latest? Did you see what this happened? And then people made comics mocking him and incessantly, just like mocking his work, his channel. And really it just felt, when I read those, I looked at those and I was like, this is akin to like kicking a person when they're down, making fun of Jim and Ed. It was just really shameful to see. And I think about all that energy and all that time that some human being took to put into those things to hurt the feelings of another human being. It just doesn't feel right to me. It's not right. And as Ed said in his final letter, they got their pound of flesh. And this all happened in like a week. It happened that fast. All of that cancellation, all that stuff went away. His whole entire life was comics. It's all the guy did, right? And it was all gone like that. And in his letter, he also said he just wasn't strong enough to take it because human beings are not built to mentally withstand an onslaught from hundreds of voices out there that are just attacking them and calling them names, and then other people are picking up on the he said, she said stuff and rumors and all kinds of things that just were not true. And he felt utterly canceled, and there's no way back in sight for him. He just could not see it. He felt like he had no friends anymore, or that he wouldn't. And that's the hardest part for me to read from him, is that he felt like he had no friends anymore. And he said he was killed by internet bullies, right? And he wanted the world to know that. He called them out in true Ed fashion, whether that's right or wrong too. But I mean, he had nothing left to lose. He was one last swing going down, right? But the truth is, internet bullies didn't come to his house and physically kill Ed. So let me just rephrase it with the very awful truth. Internet bullies did drive Ed Piskor to suicide. And it was all over some, I don't want to get into it, just some petty things back and forth, really, honestly. And suddenly Ed was painted as like a creepy cartoonist that was sliding into young girls' DMs, trying to groom them. These are all accusations that he denied, by the way, in his final letter, And now I'm going to put my dad hat on for a second. And I think I've raised 3 very good men. And I was raised by a good man. So listen, I was disappointed to read all of that. I don't want any woman to feel creeped out on or preyed on. And according to my female artist friends and my wife, it happens all the damn time. And this really bums me out. So to my male artist friends, in the Draw or Die Club, we have a few thousand people in the club, and then even more subscribers here on YouTube. I think there's a lesson to be learned here, and it's not don't talk to young women or anything like that. That's not the answer. That just perpetuates. A lot of art friends that I have are like, I'm never going to talk to a female artist again. Well, what the heck? I mean, that's I mean, that's not going to do any good for anyone if we're not talking to each other. Um, but to my male art friends out there, I think, just try to realize how you might come off. I'm not going to tell you to be gentlemen and have some manners, but keep yourself together. Be careful the words that you say to others, the language that you use. Try to have some couth, you know? You don't know how other people are perceiving you. And that's something I've identified here, I think, is that I don't think Ed thought that he was coming off like that. I thought, that's not what I thought. And that's not the person that I knew and had conversations with. But let's get real here, Who's anyone to cast any stones and judge? I would say, show me your phones and your DMs and let me see how saintly you are, right? Just give me your phones. Let me see them. I don't think that's, we don't get to see everything. We can't believe everything that we read or see online or hear. So, ladies, I wish, my female art friends, my lady friends, my wife, I wish it wasn't this way for you. As a matter of fact, I helped run a local women's roller derby league, and we had to bat the creeps away constantly. They just came out. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. Even sponsors would try to creep in there. And so I believe women, right? I don't want that to... There can't just be you're sad that Ed died. You must be on that side of things or whatever. There's none of that. It could be both. I believe women, and I lost a friend. And the art world lost a brilliant artist. So, I don't know. With the dad hat on, it's just hey, just control yourselves, people. I've heard people say that it's human nature, but it's still creepy. And ladies or even men, really just know that you don't have to respond to any messages that you feel are offered. If you feel that something's off, don't engage with that person. Don't, if you feel someone's creepy, don't talk to them. Don't talk back to them if they message you. Don't just back away, run away. And even if they are famous or whatever, it doesn't matter. If your intuition that deep down is telling you that something is off, don't engage with it at all. And for the love of God, remember, we do have a criminal justice system. So if any crimes are ever committed or you feel hurt or mistreated, you need to reach out to authorities and let the system in place do the work. Don't serve it up to the mob online. Nobody deserves to die over this matter at all. It's crazy. Justice may be slow, but I believe it finally comes for all. And, if you're a true believer out there, maybe one day you're all going to be judged sooner or later. But it's not for you or I to do that. Man, I didn't want to explain all of that. I didn't want to have to explain all of that. But I'm sure that you'll be able to watch it all play out in some kind of Netflix documentary or something. And get your buttered popcorn again and watch all that. And I hope when they do make something like that all the money goes to the Piskor family and suicide prevention services. When I first heard the news and I saw that onslaught happening, even though I was really disappointed with, there's my dad hat there. Jeez. I was really disappointed with what I was reading. I was really worried about Ed himself. I sent this text to a friend close to it, and I was worried for Ed because I've known Ed a long time, and we're not the best buds or anything like that, but we've talked back and forth, and as far as I can tell, and he told me and my wife, he respected me in comics as like a hustler of comics, I guess. I got a few bags 1 or 2 times. I know the ropes, and we can always identify each other when we see someone else that has that passion or the craft. We're going to talk about that in a second. I remember when he was coming up in the Pittsburgh Comic-Con scene, when he was a teenager with his parents. I was talking to my friend Gaz about this on Facebook. Remember when he came and he was like a teenager, he was a kid, and he has a little notebook and stuff, and he showed us. I remember. And I remember how all in on comics he was. So to say his life was comics is an understatement. That dude was obsessed, and it's just how he wanted it to be. We'll talk about the spectrum of cartoonists here in a minute, because I think it's important. But later coming up, when he was coming up and getting some success, he reached out to me because I guess he thought I was having some. I was like, well, I don't know if I'm successful or not, but he wanted advice on royalties and stuff like that, or who could he talk to finesse things. And I think I gave him the advice of, I had a contract, but the contract didn't have to stay the contract. You could change contracts. You just had to express what you wanted. And the thing that he told me that he wanted even way back then was just to have a royalty for long-term success, to help his family, to set his family up. And you could see his, I read his final letter, and it's still the first thing on his mind and the last thing on his mind was making sure his family was taken care of. And he was playing that long game, right? And that's admirable. Jack Kirby, our hero in comics, used to be that way. He didn't care a whole lot about not getting paid as much. He just wanted to put food on his family's table and make sure his family was taken care of, and that's just so deep rooted in true comic creators that have that spark. But again, through the Draw or Die Club, we hear a lot of artists out there that are going through way less scrutiny in their lives, who are on the edge of checking out. They're ready to go, and they somehow find us, and then and I'm not diminishing anyone else's issues. I'm just saying, there are levels of doom here, right? There are levels of doom, and I feel like Ed was just getting it all at once. Everything, his entire livelihood that he built up, gone in an instant. His name, his credibility, and it was indeed my first thought was, Ed's gonna hurt himself, because I didn't want to publicly say anything, because I felt like it wasn't my place to jump in there, and I don't want to get embroiled in any other artist business or drama. I hate it. I hate the drama. I don't like seeing others piling on to things. Even if I don't personally agree with things, I don't know that it's my space to comment on it or get in there. It's tempting. You want to say, fuck you. Leave this guy alone. Just stop it. But I saw other friends, other art friends, people that I love, commenting and piling on too. And I know that they don't like Ed. And this isn't just one person here, so I'm not singling you out if you're listening to this. I know that they don't like Ed in real life, because I've had conversations where they were trashing Ed's work and stuff when he was alive. And I would tell them then, hey, can we not do that? Because to me, I feel like I celebrate any artist making it, because it's so hard. It's so hard. So, that really hurt my feelings to see the other people that I considered talented and friends almost, I know they weren't gleeful, but it just felt like, man, they're getting a kick out of this now. And I hate it. I fucking hate it. God, I don't want to swear either. Sorry. It just happens. Whatever. They could demonetize me all day or whatever. I don't give a shit. Because you see, the imagination here, it's that double-edged sword. I talk about it all the time in the newsletters, because I know it. This is the thing that, as comic storytellers, is a blessing and a curse. If you're a creator out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we can imagine the most fantastical stories, the greatest stories ever told, are made by comic creators and writers, creators. And on the flip side, you can also imagine the worst things happening. What's your escape plan? What's your panic button, right? And for Ed, he really couldn't see that future anymore. His imagination only visualized those bad endings for him. He knew other people that had been in a similar situation where their careers were over. They're done. Like, they can't work in comics anymore because of unfounded, things or drama, and he knew that that was the future for him, and he just couldn't see anything past. He saw the past, the present, and he could not see that future. It was just falling away, and he hit the panic button. And clearly he had a perfect plan set up. And here's the thing. He hid it very well, right? From his loved ones and his friends. He mentions like hiding papers from Jim when he came over. Artists can be crafty like that. Like the outside appearances when you see someone, they might seem like they have it together. Fame, all that stuff. But really they're wrecked or drowning inside. And they put on this mask. They put on this character that, Ed called Kayfabe. Wrestlers call Kayfabe. Cartoonist Kayfabe. You get it? Like, let's talk about that just for a minute. Let's talk about Kayfabe. At some point Ed Piskor became Eddie P. He donned the pirate's cap and the shades and all black and the hip-hop, the Public Enemy look, He put on this kind of what Don Simpson called, it was his cosplay, But he wasn't a thug or a gangster. It was a show. It was an art piece like Warhol, Andy Warhol, who was a really sensitive artist. And I would say like maybe when, you even put on this character, it becomes your armor. And creators do this, musicians do this. They have stage names, they're not the real people outside of who they are on stage. And it got me thinking about myself too. I used to have this persona that I didn't really like. In the end, I was given this name, Drew Price, from my friend, and I had the comics Your Mama, and it was tough talking. It was this tough talking, like fiery young cartoonist that was going to change the comic industry with the help of the ghost of Jack Kirby, and people laughed and thought it was funny, but it was like always focused on negative shit. And over time, and as I grew up, I didn't feel that negativity served me anymore. So always pointing out what was wrong, dwelling on drama, it just wasn't healthy. So my friends relished in it and they loved it, but they were even a bit mad at me when I killed that part of my persona. But I still loved comics, and I just wasn't that fiery guy anymore. And I could still tell you the truth about the comics industry, and that truth right now is that it's very sad. It's a very sad place. And it's very sad that it's come to things like this. And it seems to happen more and more. And that the two guys that I know that love comics more than anyone, and maybe you have more education on comics and history, they're getting trashed like this and thrown away. It's just not right. And that's not the comic industry that I knew or loved, and it needs to do better. It just can't be like this. And I think I'm not a big voice at all. Like, I'm a nobody. I would love to see some bigger names just come out. I saw some guys, but after the fact, I know no one wants to get embroiled in drama, but man, I would really love to see like the icons that Ed loved really speak to this. I saw Rob Liefeld. I wasn't always a big fan of Rob Liefeld when I was young, but I really admire him now as an adult. And Todd McFarlane, J. Scott Campbell, I saw you say some nice things and care. And it's just not right. And I think I would really love to see the people that I looked up to and Ed looked up to speak out, because there's going to be more of this, you know? And we got to take care of each other as artists. That's what my brand is about. My brand's just about trying to get artists to keep drawing and not stop. You know, don't stop drawing for anyone. But all this week, I've thought about disbanding it. It's called Draw or Die, because when I don't draw, when other people don't draw or create, they feel dead inside. And, Ed must have thought, well, this was it for him. No more comics, no more drawing. He might as well just die, right? And that's not the message I want anyone to take away from this brand. So it's been a tough thing to dwell on all this week. This is going to be a long video. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I can't even imagine what his family's going through, or his really close friends. And Jim, I've lost other friends to tragedies like this, and it echoes and it keeps hitting you over and over again. I'm walking in New York this past week thinking, man, Ed's never gonna be here again. I'm having Chinese food, I'm thinking, Ed's never gonna eat this again. Drawing late at night, Ed's never gonna draw again. That doesn't seem right. Like, it just doesn't seem real. Or imagine what he could have given the world over the next 41 years. So you start to spiral with those kind of thoughts, and it's just part of the process. It's just part of the process. But then I actually remembered, we have talked to thousands of artists, and it's humbling to know that we've been told that we've helped people. And even just by telling someone, you don't need to be famous, right? Like, if you feel like you're not making it in comics or art or whatever because you're not making money or being famous, I mean, look what happens. Look what happened. Like, what's it good for? What's fame and money good for? It can get pretty dark pretty fast. It's okay to do it for fun and because you love it, and forget the money. Creating and drawing every day is just good medicine. Yeah, I wish I would have been closer, or tried to be closer friends with Ed. I'm not saying I could have made any kind of difference. I don't think so. I think he was pretty. He controlled his own ship there, But I just wish you were still here, Ed. That's all. I wish you were still around. Maybe you are. Maybe you're haunting us now, Ed. Just be kind. Be kind. What a shame. What a fucking shame. So when I talk to other people, I talk about this spectrum of the cartoonist. When I describe what it's like to make comics or be an artist, I describe this spectrum. And I think we as artists know it very well. And in a strange way, we romanticize about it in some strange way, and we love creating so much. It's easy for us to identify other people in the spectrum. We could say that artist is, he's on this side of the coin, right? We could see it as other creators. We know it almost instantly, I think. So maybe this can help you see where you are on the spectrum, or if you feel if you see other artists out there and like, oh man, they might be in need of a little assistance, whether they want it or not, and how do you approach that? So let's talk about the cartoonist spectrum here. So over on this side is the obsessed with the craft, all in, all out, and you can't fit in to normal society. You can't do a normal job. it's comics or nothing. It's that obsession, that craft, obsession with the craft. Ed was definitely on this side. People like Steve Ditko are on this side. Wally Wood are on this side. They go to extreme measures, apparently. It's the sickness part, which is also kind of a romantic part to comic artists sometimes. We hear about manga artists that work nonstop and barely sleep or eat, and Ed loved that shit. Like, I heard him talking about his deadline soup multiple times. He told me once that there was a day where he just slept like 3 hours and just kept powering through it. And I'm like, that's hardcore. Like, he'd go sleep for 3 hours, wake up, have some soup, splash some water in his face, and then go back to the board. And that's how he was just crushing it. And you're like, oh man, that's like, I wish I could do that, But it's not healthy. Other artists, we talk about it, we go like, well, that's still, man, someone's got to pull him back, right? But you can't, because he's just in it. It's too far in it. So that's side A. On the other side of the spectrum, my friend Jim Rugg, is over there. And you're equally obsessed with the craft. You're all in, but you're able to pivot and adapt and blend in with society. You can go and be a teacher and have other jobs and be respected in multiple, markets or whatever. And you can let them talk about it for hours, like comics and the craft, and they will. And it's maybe honestly all they really think about. Do you know those memes where like the woman's in bed like worried about what her husband's thinking, and then it zooms in to show what the husband's thinking? Well, a comic artist on this end of the spectrum is usually laying in bed thinking about how to do the best golden ratio for a perfect comic page spread. That's Spectrum B, and that's probably Jim. I also think of it like maybe like that show Dexter, where Dexter was a serial killer, but he was trying to blend in. He only killed bad guys, by the way, but he was always trying to blend in with normal society. So when he was like in the office, he was thinking like, normal people do this. I have to act like a normal person, but deep down, he was like, should I bring donuts to the office? Don't forget, don't get so stuck in your passion and obsession that you forget the world around you and how it operates. If anything, that'll make you a better storyteller, I believe, to be involved more in life outside of not just watching it through the internet. Ed said in his letter that that's how he made friends, was through the internet. And because being a comic artist is very isolating. So there's something to be said about getting out and actually experiencing more life. Maybe even something more to be said about having more jobs, different, being involved in the community somehow. Then there's the middle. And I guess these would be like the jobbers, the 9-to-5 guys, like Ed used to, coin that phrase, I guess, maybe. And commercial cartoonists, part-timers are in the middle. Hobbyists are also in the middle. You could be a hobbyist on either one of those spectrum sides, but if you're as obsessed a hobbyist, you're probably going to start making some kind of living with it, right? So you're going to be on one of those ends. But a hobbyist is just like part-timing, like I'm doing this for fun, right? I would say I'm probably, if I had to rank myself on this cartoonist spectrum, I am in the middle of that. I'm not so far obsessed with it that it's my only waking thought, but it's close. And but I also oddly romanticize about people that are so in it, and they're so fascinating to me. Ed was always so fascinating to me. Cartoonist Kayfabe was just really fascinating to me, like as a show. And I'm sorry, Jim, I didn't just call you a serial killer or anything. We would never know. We would never know. But I hope he gets what I'm saying there. So in many ways, I think me being in the middle has been much better for my mental health and longevity over time. Ed once said that he never respected folks like Todd McFarlane, who worked in the middle at 9 to 5. But he also said he envied that. He wished that, oh, that's envious that he can go and have time with his family and all that stuff. But he didn't have that. Ed didn't have that extra thing like that. Maybe his family, but like his close family, but like he didn't have that responsibility of having children or anything like that. And he was too all in or all out, apparently. Man, this is hard to talk about, guys. But yeah, without a doubt, Ed Piskor, Hip Hop Family Tree, Jim Rugg, Street Angel are some of my favorite cartoonists. Not just because they're so knowledgeable about the history and craft of comics, but also because I know these guys. And I've known both of them since high school. Jim Rugg and I once were on the cover of a newspaper in a small town, shout out Connellsville. We once shared the cover of that newspaper when we were like very early in our careers or whatever, and it was like living the dream, living the dream. And for me personally, though, I think it's a joy for me to watch my friends come up and be successful and contribute to the art form in such a amazing way. To get people to read more comics and make more comics, those were their classic marching orders. Read more comics, make more comics. That was awesome. That was Cartoonist Kayfabe. And it was a rare energy that they built up. And it's legendary. I hate that it's dying. And that's why I really hate seeing other creators tearing each other down over so many things. It's made me kind of back away from comics industry for sure. One of the reasons I left it, I just don't even want to I don't want to see what's going on. I just want to see the cool comics. And I loved Cartoonist Kayfabe channel because I could just vicariously live through them. They knew more, and I would learn so much from that channel. And now it's gone. It's a real blow to the fans and the industry and the other professionals that quietly watch that when we draw and listen. The success of any artist, like I say a lot in our newsletters, is that success for any artist is good for all artists. So it just bums me out to see that. It hurts. It hurts. I don't know why it hurts. Why do I give a shit about any of this? It just hurts me. So if you're taking part in any kind of drama out there, I gotta tell you, it's not healthy for you. It's not going to end well for you. I think it might even make you sick, So this is just a real tragedy all around. And for me, I study Stoicism, so I know that even in the darkest moments and the shipwrecks of our life, we can start over. We can rebuild, we can reinvent, we can recreate ourselves. I wish Ed had more stoicism in his life. He just couldn't see past that shipwreck, past the wreckage. He couldn't see beyond it. There was no vision for it. And as human beings, we can choose empathy over apathy, and choose like common sense over order and mob rule and drama. And how do we amplify more kindness and grace, into the world? Just think about that the next time that you're judging someone or you're getting stirred up over some shit on the internet. And try not to take part in it. Have a meter for yourself. Like, wait, why am I getting upset about this? What is this triggering for me that I'm getting upset? How do we make this better? How can we ever make this better? How can we ever heal from anything when it's just perpetually this? It sucks, So, Ed and Jim had those great slogans for their Cartoonist Kayfabe show. Read more comics and make more comics. And it really sums up who they were and are in life. It's bumming me out real big time that those things may just die with Ed. And I would totally understand that never comes back, or how hard it might be for Jim to ever do that again. I don't expect that he will. It would never really be the same. I've dwelled on this all week. We say in our club, stay encouraged, draw every day, blah, 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 but I want to do something else. I want to do something more now. And I don't know exactly what that is yet, but I'm going to need the help of the art friends in this club to do it. I can't do it by myself. So my thought this week was very simple. When one cartoonist falls, no matter the circumstances or how their story ended, we have to make 10 more cartoonists. So one cartoonist falls, make 10 more. And that's it. Make more cartoonists. How do we do that? So that's going to be the thing that I take away from this. I'm inspired to take away from Cartoonist Kayfabe in honor of Ed and Jim is how can we make even more cartoonists? What does that mean to be a cartoonist? So I help a lot of creators stay encouraged and pick up their pencil again. But now for the people out there that are on the fence who say, or youngsters that are out there dreaming about doing it, I want to encourage you to draw more, but not just draw, but get into cartooning and storytelling and expressing your feelings. And find a network and a community of artists. We have one at Draw or Die here that you can find always. Or start your own locally. We've seen that happen too. Art is Rad started out of being inspired by the Draw or Die Club. Like, there's a few other smaller groups that got together out of all this. So I want to urge you to deploy grace and kindness, and I believe in second or third chances for most people, and that people are flawed. We make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And April 20th, there's going to be a memorial for Ed and his legacy at Phantom of the Attic Comics over in Oakland and Pittsburgh. And I'll be there. If you're there, come say hello to me. I'd like to meet you. And to Ed's family and close friends, to Jim, my old friend, keep holding fast and make more comics, read more comics, and rest in peace, Ed. To everyone else out there, just stay encouraged, and thanks for listening. So long, Ed.